بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد الحمد لله. Continuing on, the Sheikh talks about, he mentions a quote from, he says, يقول بعض العارفين. So this is usually just narrated from the Salihin, the righteous, things that have been passed down, teachings that have been passed down, and specifically about how your time is actually divided, right? What the arifin, people that know, they understand, they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal opens doors of understanding to them. And so one of the things that has been said about time is, the pious, they talk about how your time is actually divided, what's going on with your time. So they mentioned this quote, أوقات العبد أربعة لا خامس لها. That the times of the servants are four, meaning there's four types of time. There's no fifth to them. Now this is not a hadith, this is not revelation, this is just experience from the righteous. And again, these are things from people's experience are valuable as well. So these four periods of time, or these four types of time that they mentioned, النعمة والبلية والطاعة والمعصية. That either you're in a time of ni'mah, which is you're enjoying a blessing, والبلية, you are being tried with something. Ta'a, you are actively obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you're in a state of worship. Or ma'siyah, you are in a state of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَيْكَ فِي كُلِّ وَقْتٍ مِنْهَا سَهْمٌ مِنَ الْعُبُودِيَّةِ يَقْتَضِيهِ الْحَقُّ مِنْكَ بِحُكْمِ الرُّبُوبِيَّةِ. And they say that for each one of these times that you're in, there is a way for you to be in service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within each one of these time frames. So as for a ni'mah, that when you are in a state of blessing, right? When you're enjoying a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your ubudiyah, your submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that state is to show gratitude. The fact that you're enjoying something, you're enjoying time, you're enjoying food, you're enjoying safety, you're enjoying wealth, whatever it is, right? You go take a vacation, you're spending time with your family. Whenever you're in enjoyment, that's an opportunity to show gratitude, right? So you've been given that blessing or that state of time, and the response should be to show gratitude for that state. The state of ta'ah, obedience, is to also just to be in a form of gratitude as well, but to appreciate the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that put you in that state. That you could have been in a state of disobedience, but actively you were in a state of obedience, and then appreciating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, appreciating that blessing. Again, hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, teachings from the Prophet, مَنْ يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ. He said, ﷺ, whoever Allah guides, there is no one that can misguide. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. Then whoever Allah misguides, there is no one that can guide that person. So when you are engaged in a state of ibadah, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has blessed you to be guided to submit to Him, to be in that state. And if you are in a state of ma'siyah, which is disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the response is tawbah, istighfar, right? You find yourself in a state of disobedience, the immediate response of the servant now is to go to tawbah and istighfar. And وَمَنْ كَانَ وَقْتُهُ الْبَلِيَّةِ فَسَبِيلُهُ الرِّضَى وَالصَّبْرِ. That whoever finds himself in a state of trial, meaning being tested, there's difficulties that are happening to this person, then the response, الرِّضَى وَالصَّبْرِ, right? Rida, it's hard to do it, but to be content with the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal has placed this state over you, and then as a response of that contentment, you have sabr, you have resilience to that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting you through. And there's a hadith, a beautiful hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now each one of these things, there are ayat of the Quran that back them up. But there's a beautiful hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, عَجَبًا بِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. We've covered this hadith before. That what an amazing thing it is, the state of the believer, the affairs of the believer. إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلُّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. Every state of the believer, there's khair, there's good in whatever he's going through. وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. And nobody really understands that except for the mu'min, except for the believer. In أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاء شَكَرَ. If anything good comes upon them, they are grateful, فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ, and that gratitude is good for them. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرَّاء صَبَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. And if there's evil or there's difficulty that strikes them, then they show resilience. They have sabr, and that is also good for them. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ basically taught us about. No matter, he broke it down into two things. You're either going to appreciate what you're going through, or you're going to be frustrated by what you're going through. But in either one of those states, if you're happy, then you show gratitude. If you're unhappy, you're frustrated, you're sad, upset, whatever, then you show sabr. You have resilience, and that is something that'll be good for you as well. But no matter what state you're in, it's always an opportunity to show some kind of submission, to some kind of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are just beautiful things, right? Again, just to think about your day, you're either in a state of worship, or you're enjoying a blessing from Allah, or you are being tried by something, someone's getting on your nerves, whatever is going on, or you're in a state of disobedience. And so if we're mindful of the fact that these are the four types of things we can be involved in every single day of our lives. And if you're a little bit more conscious about what state am I in right now, right? What's going on with me right now? And if you find yourself in a ma'siyah, in a state of disobedience, immediately jumping to istighfar, tawbah, stopping what you're doing. If you find yourself in just enjoying something, then, praising Allah, being grateful. If you find yourself in a state of worship, then really, really appreciating the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal chose you to be amongst those that would be worshipping Him in that time. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us the 3 out of the 4, inshallah, to keep us away from ma'asiyah as much as possible, and on the other 3. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.